Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello. And look who's back.
I'm the Bill in Appalachian again.
And we have another Appalachian.
Yay.
Woo-hoo.
Great to have you with us, Sandy.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent. Always good to have you, Sandy. And welcome back, Betsy.
Thank you.
Enjoyed your world tour around all the concert halls.
I did. I was everywhere and doing all kinds of things
everywhere.
that I didn't even know I was doing.
That's it. Oh, that's good. That's good. So, welcome to everyone who's joining us live and those who are joining us after the fact and watching this on demand. Hope you're having a great day. Mohavlan wins. She's the first one here. She was here. She's been here almost an hour waiting for us to. I don't know. Maybe she needs the time zone adjuster because that just seems a long time to be waiting for us to show up. But she has her coffee.
She came with coffee.
Yeah,
she has her coffee. And we have Anne Fiordalisi and Brian has joined us. Ozzy is here in the house. Vicky Blanco from Chile. Hi, Vicky. Christine, Janine, Susie, Patricia. Chris Ferriolo is here. How you doing, Chris? Klaus Janssen is here. Judy Stutz, AP Amanda Myers from Melbourne, joining us from Melbourne. Excellent. Another Olympic city. Audrey Martin is here. Patricia Jackson, Donna Gerber, John Tyner from Ireland. How you doing? Crystal J on the West Coast. Murray Maloney, how you doing? From just down the road, relatively speaking. It's all relative. Gail Martin is here. WikiTree, I'm betting that's Azure is in the house. There we go. How you doing, Azure? Chris Wine. Let's see. Is there Nancy Wilson is here? Florian, hi Flo, how you doing? From the Black Forest. Alan Entwistle from London, and Margaret Tull from Tennessee. Have I missed anyone so far?
Very global audience.
Yeah.
Very global. Isn't that nice? And considering the Olympics are the profile, that's very appropriate that we have a nice global audience for a global theme. But yeah. So how are you? It's warm up here. We are in the middle of a bit of a heat wave.
You're in a heat wave.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
We're in a death heat wave. I think I'm done. I'm ready for Atlanta to have snow.
Oh, really?
It's too hot. Just too hot.
It's too hot? Yes.
And I see that a lot of fairs are going on. A lot of people are talking about fairs in the various Discord channels too. And they're talking about fairs today. I guess this is a lot of state fairs, county fairs going on this week. Interesting. In our part of Ontario, our fairs usually don't start till about September. September is the big month for fairs in our towns. Mm-hmm. And you have the big fair, the carnival, the animals, the veggies. It depends on the city. Now, the largest one, the Canadian National Exhibition, happens in Toronto down at Exhibition Place, which and that's a big one, and that actually does start in August, and it ends on Labor Day. Oh, that's a long one. Oh.
Yeah. I think it's about 3 weeks long. And it's a traditional fair. Like there's the fairgrounds and all the rides, but there's also the agricultural aspect to it, just like the traditional. Yeah. So it's a massive thing. I remember taking the bus to go down to Toronto when I was a teenager to see it. So that was always a big deal.
It seems as an adult, the fairs take a whole different mindset to go to now. And I can't ride the rides. I don't know about you guys. Can you ride those rides that just...
It's been a long time since I've been able to ride rides.
I am not good with even Ferris wheels, which seems like they would be tame. I no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll wave from the bottom.
Yeah.
Every time somebody comes around, hi. I would do the same.
Good for you.
Yeah. Wow. 100 degrees forecast. Ouch, Patricia. That is nasty. Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, nowadays it's like, there's what the thermometer says, and then there's the real feel.
What it feels like.
So, Patricia said, feels like 107.
Oof.
just not how we're meant to live.
No one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But if you wanted to get out of the heat, would you go down into the earth, Sandy? Would that be one way of getting out of the heat, or would that make it warmer?
I'm thinking Iceland.
Iceland.
I mean, it is crazy. It's like Patricia said, and Betsy just said, it's that mugginess that kind of comes in. And, you know, I was laughing this week. I take the Yorkies to go for a walk. They go to the door and they're like, no. They will not move. You're like, I don't want to drag you outside. But I would say Iceland. What do you think, Greg and Betsy? Where do you go to beat the heat? Well, you know, in the South, we say that God made air conditioning for a reason, for us to stay inside.
That's funny.
Why would we leave?
Yeah. We do have a pool, and so that helps.
Yeah. I'd just be by the water. You know, an ocean if you can swing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, should we do some question of the week, Sandy?
Yeah, we could do question of the week. I will warn you guys that usually I go through question of the week kind of quick, but Mags, I think, threw me this guest spot for a reason. I brought props. One is kind of behind me. My coal miner's hat. I have two coal miner's hat. One that both were graciously given to me by coal miners, one in Pennsylvania and one in West Virginia. So let me go ahead and bring up question of the week. I was shocked. Now let me tell you, this has been more or less my underlying lifetime work in research as miners, and I was shocked how many people answered this. When the question came up, I thought, we might get just one page, you know, maybe two, but it was going on past 4 pages. So if I don't mention your post, please forgive me, but know that I read each and every one of them. And I also made sure to check to see how I'm connected to most of these people that have miners, because I work very much in the miners. I want to also mention real quick that the Disasters Project, let me see if I can bring this up. The Disasters Project has a mining team. So if you're interested in mining, if I notice a lot of people mentioned that their relatives actually passed away in mining. So you can check that out as well. Love the questions. Okay. So Joan Whitaker, I'm just going to start with this. This was a really important answer to those of us that have ancestors that were miners. And she said they're in every line of her family. And that pretty much is going to be accurate if that's the only employment in town. And mining did pay quite well. But my father was a miner. So was, I think, so was my father-in-law. Most of my uncles were miners too. Both my grandfathers were miners and all my great-grandfathers. My mining family are in England and all eventually settled in the Yorkshire coal field. And I'll just scroll down a little bit. And she said, thankfully, the mines here are all gone, and my sons do not have to do such dangerous work. And this was handed down. This is how you got a job in a coal mine, is if your family, your uncle, your father did really great work, chances are you would get in the coal mine as a job. And just to imagine your entire family, and if one coal mine disaster, if they worked in the same coal mine, would take out entire families. Devastating. John Vasky, and John is a wonderful greeter here with WikiTree. He greets the people that join WikiTree. He's my grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-grand-uncle all worked in the Kathleen coal mine in Dow, Illinois, and his grandfather, Mike Vasky Sr., worked in the mine from 1935 until he's drafted for the Navy. Unfortunately, though, his great-uncle was killed when a large boulder that he and John were trying to work loose from the ceiling of the mine, as pull it down, fell on him, and he was crushed to death. So a lot of people think that miners will die from explosion, or for coal miners, black lung, but there's many ways to unfortunately die in a coal mine. Fabulous photo from Alexis, and I love this one too. This one really intrigued me because the town that she mentioned of her great aunt and great uncle, Buchanan, West Virginia, is my second home. So we always talk about the power of WikiTree. So instantly I'm going, I must be related to you, Alexis, somehow as well. Just fascinating stories. I'm going to try to get to, Maggie, our wonderful project leader for a lot of the Slavic groups also have coal miners. And I want to mention that a lot of people consider Coal Miner's Daughter, Kentucky, as the place where coal mining is. And of course, a lot of people think coal mining only happens in West Virginia. That's very common that people will come to me with that. And Appalachia, they'll say, oh, you're just coal miners. But no, it's worldwide. It's global. And there's different coal in different states for different needs. So, for example, the coal in Southwest West Virginia was used exclusively by the U.S. Navy in World War II because it didn't have a high burn factor. So the smoke didn't show. So the enemy could not see where they were at. Great questions. I have coal miners back as far as I can get through the records. Wonderful photos. And this is Pennsylvania and Maryland, as well as he opened a mine in Iowa.
I saw New Brunswick there too, or Nova Scotia.
These are just amazing. And then thank you, Natasha, for mentioning again the England Mining Disasters Team. So there is a mining disasters team, as I just showed, and it's global, it is worldwide. So it's not just coal mine. There's copper mines, there's silver mines, there's gold mines, there's other mines. Wonderful one-place study. I'll just bring that up real quick. My grandfather worked a short time at the Kmore mine in West Virginia, and my maternal grandmother's brother owned that mine. Now, why is this kind of interesting study? This is a ghost town now. So this is a completely ghost town, and Henry Ford helped fund the Nuttleburg, West Virginia coal mines. Large contingent of white and black, and they were segregated. So if you look at the census, though, they were blending them together. So we're finding that even though we thought they were segregated as coal miners and living in a coal town, they weren't as much. And that was something that we see a lot in the U.S. coal mines, that we see segregation isn't as popular as it was outside the area, because a coal miner is considered a brother. And same with gold mine and silver mines. This is a fabulous one-place study, though, because it is that ghost town. I could read every one of these. They're really, really great. Love this from Oliver. This is in Germany, and talking about his paternal line, and he has at least two that he knows of. That they're in researching coal miners in the U.S. is very difficult. I will tell you, there are not a lot of records that say anything that they were a coal miner except the town they lived in or the census. Okay, this is just fantastic. I have many miners in my family, past and present. I am a mining engineer, and my son is a mining geologist. And these are some examples of his Swedish great-grandfather. These photos are just amazing.
Wow.
They're just fantastic. And what a lot of times, and this is global, they would use donkeys, horses, to help bring out the coal. Also, when you have coal, for example, you have to take down the trees all around it to build the machinery and the access. So they would also use the horses to take down and drag out the trees. Look at that tree. Look how big that tree is. That's a very, very old tree that they're dragging down as well. So that was a really cool photo. I've got, let me scroll down this one. John Stewart gave us the obituary for his. So this was his great grandfather. He said his grandmother was about 9 years old when he died. And this was instantly killed last night in the mine due to a fall of rock. Another one that's a fall of rock. And I don't know if a lot of people realize, but we do have coal miners that are current WikiTreeers. Let me show you. I think it was on this page. Give me a second. I'm just fascinated. He was a miner in Austria and then immigrated to the U.S. And that's what a lot of immigrants that came to the U.S. We have Italians, we have Ukrainians, we have Welsh. Welsh was a very popular immigration sect that came over Southwest Virginia. And my grandfather was a miner as well. A lot of my family was miner. And a cousin at age 15 was this was kind of before the mines in the States had a mine safety. Okay, here we go. Mr. Bob Tilley. He is an active member on WikiTree. He works a lot with Virginia profiles, and his father was a chief electrician. So not every miner is actually digging, but they're still considered a miner because of their job. And what Bob did not say is he took his father's tradition of mining, and he is a coal miner and recently retired from it. And he is a very active WikiTreeer. Okay, now I got to show you the one of my favorite ones. Let me see if I can bring it up. So this is his grandfather did mining himself. And he said this was between jobs. So this looks like, he kind of did a pickup job. Think about going into a coal mine and look what he's wearing. No safety.
Just a little flimsy hat.
Yeah, no shirt.
No shirt, no.
It's just amazing. And it looks like that was Idaho. But I still have to get to one of my favorites that I have. Edward, I am a third generation in the mining industry. And for a couple years now, my son was also a miner. It is sometimes the best paying job that you're going to find. I think this is it. Give me 1 second, because it was so good. I love that everybody's saying my entire tree is full of coal miners. I don't know if I'm gonna find it quickly enough. We scroll down. I will bring this photo up. Okay, so how many of you have heard the song 16 Tons? It's an older song, 16 tons. So what would have to happen for miners? They'd have to bring out 16 of those. They'd have to chop it by hand before everything came out, and they'd have to bring 16 of those out every day to get paid. And let me see. And why I'm looking for this, do either of you have coal miners or gold miners or silver or copper?
As far as I can tell, it's mostly farming. I've got a few shoemakers, but I don't have any miners that I have found in my family tree.
Yeah.
The closest to mining is when our first child was born. He was born, and that weekend there had been a mining disaster in Halifax, and so that was all over the news. So that's sort of the closest.
This one is this is fabulous. If you guys have the time, take time to read through these. These are really fascinating stories. This comes from Connie. Connie talks about how shortly after she got married, her husband decided to follow his father into the mines. So they went to the big city. And I know that this is West Virginia. When I say big city, that means you're probably going for about an hour drive back then. To get buy him a shiny silver round lunchbox. So this is what she's talking about. She had a bigger one though. So this is what she's talking about. This is what miners would bring into the mine every day for lunch. And what you would do, this one's a shorty. There should be 3 of these. You put water in the bottom, and it would stay cool, because that you're down in the mines, you're not coming back up for lunch. We're down there. So this would do 2 things: keep the lunch, the meal, cool, kind of refrigerated, and provide drinking water. And then you would put, this would be your main thing: sandwich, maybe chips. I don't know if they really did chips way back when, but something like that. But that's your main meal. And then mine, like I said, mine's a shorty. Most of them had a tiny layer up top, and that's where your pie went, your slice of pie.
Mhm.
Oh, so they would do that, and that's their coal mining bucket that they would have, and
That's fascinating.
it was not an easy job, and I can tell you a lot more about. I know a lot of people answered of Cornwall. Those mines, those copper mines, were very dangerous. They did not have a lot of safety with that as well. So it was a pretty interesting job, but it's still to this day is one of the best paying jobs out there.
Really?
So what do? Do you go for the safe job, or do you go for a job that pays more for your family?
Yeah.
Tough decision.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I can see you have a vast family history of being in that industry, that it would make it easier. You just sort of, the industry was second nature.
Yeah. I think you're right, because they're used to seeing their father or their uncle come home, and they instantly think, I'm going to work in the mines, or they admire the work ethic, because it is a work ethic, and they go.
It's hard, honest work. Yeah.
And women are now more and more popular in the mines as well. A lot of the picking and things like that they used to do by hand is now done by machines, which is fantastic because it's easier on the body and quicker. But the dilemma is that now the machines can dig a little bit deeper and get into what is called silica. And silica is extremely dangerous. So now we have a different type of black lung. We have a silica lung that is, and both of those are incurable. So it's interesting to see how progress with any organization or any occupation always is faster, but there's always something that kind of comes with it. But thank you all for answering the miners' questions. If seriously, if you get time, the WikiTreeers that responded to this question, you could feel that they really wanted to honor their ancestors with this. A lot of the ones that were lost, and some of them they were just really proud of. So it was a great question. Thank you, Mags, for letting me fill in.
That was great.
You for educating us, Sandy.
Yes. Thanks so much. Thanks, Sandy. That was great.
The 5-hour seminar is right after this now.
That's just a preview.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for Sandy's WikiTree Symposium seminar. Oh, excellent. So the profiles of the week, and the Connection Checkers game is all about the Summer Olympics, because of course we're right in the middle of it now, and things are going great. Are you guys watching? I have to admit, I've been doing other things, and I haven't had the chance to just sort of put it on and just relax and watch a lot of things, just a few highlights here and there. But what about you guys? You've been following?
A little bit. Yeah, it's kind of more similar to what you're doing though. Like, I have a few minutes and
let's watch. Mine's on the background. And if I hear a loud noise, I'll turn around. I wanted to see surfing, but breakdancing is new this year.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen that.
That's amazing. Yeah. See, my problem, I can't have things in the background because I just get distracted. I just stare at them and listen to them. I can't multitask with, a TV or a radio. So if I'm listening to any music, it usually has to be something I know so well that I
you can block it out.
Block it out, or instrumental.
Yeah.
Like I could listen to Yo-Yo Ma all the time.
Oh yes.
And it wouldn't distract me at all. That would be nice and soothing.
Yeah.
Anything I can sing along with, I'm distracted.
I think that's a challenge for Betsy to create some instrumental music for us.
I could do that.
I think that'd be cool.
Oh, neat. So we have a whole pile of Olympians to go through, but I've done a little bit of organizing this morning, and so we're going to go through them chronologically. And I actually have a little, I put together a little bit of a graphic here with a spreadsheet. So we're going to start off with Pierre de Coubertin. Let's see if there's we'll talk about that later. So the father of modern Olympics, the one who got the whole ball rolling for the modern Olympic Games in 1896, of course, was the very first of the Olympic Games in Athens, Greece. But it took a number of years. I think in 1892 it took 4 years to get the ball rolling and off. So Pierre de Coubertin from France, but the president of the International Olympic Committee until he resigned from that, and then he was made the after he retired, he was then an honorary, where was it? I can't remember. President for life. Yes, there we go. So nice profile. Starts off en français, but then there's an English one with some bullet points about his life. Of course, most famous for establishing that. Interesting here. Characterized as a fool and a sexist. I think probably a number of people of that generation could fit into both of those categories. I don't think he was alone in that, but interesting. As well as sports, he was also highly interested in education and formed an association for teaching reform in France. So that's kind of cool. Didn't know about that. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, but didn't win it. Was awarded a different prize in the same year, and then passed away from a heart attack while he was in a park in Geneva. So I guess if you're gonna have a heart attack, a park in Geneva is a nice place to have one, I guess. Be a peaceful
Geneva's
place.
Yeah.
But his body was interred in Geneva where he died, but his heart was moved and interred next to the ancient ruins of Olympia in Greece. Isn't that appropriate?
Very poetic.
Yeah, very poetic.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what the paperwork involved would be.
I don't. Do you just sneak the heart on the plane?
Yeah, really.
It's my carry-on language.
The big quote here is something that's part of the Olympic Creed. The important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have won, but to have fought well. Mm-hmm. And I think all Olympians, and I think many people would agree with that sentiment. And there's a medal, of course, named after him. That's only awarded occasionally when it's appropriate. Just demonstrates significant demonstration of the sports of sportsmanship in the Olympics. So very neat. So our next Olympian, let me just slide this over here. I've got my spreadsheet set up, so I just have to change the number and then the visual changes, is Karl Schumann from Germany. And again, he participated in the 1896 Olympics. And here I've got an image of it's either from the poster or the official logo, or in this case, I think it was in the report of the 1896 Olympics. So those are kind of cool to look at too. He participated in 4 different events: gymnastics, wrestling, weightlifting, and athletics. He won 4 gold. Now, not 1 in each of those events. I believe it was 1 in gymnastics and 3 in athletics, I think. And he is the most Olympic German athlete, is how he was referred to as.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, because he won 4 gold. He was in 4 different.
I see.
So he's of all Olympians, he's the most Olympic of all.
Okay, I was thinking DNA here. I was like,
cool.
Betsy. I was like, how does that qualify? Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Born in 1869 in Münster, Westfalen, Preußen, Neudeutscher Bund, and passed away in 1946 at the age of 76 in Berlin. Again, participated in 4 things. The thing in the gymnastics, he took a gold in the vault and the team parallel bars and horizontal bars. Another gold in the Greco-Roman wrestling. He also took part in the weightlifting. And for athletics, he did triple jump, long jump, and shot put. So of all the athletes who started in that very first Olympic Games in 1896, he was the most successful of them all. And he is only one of there are only 3 athletes ever who have competed in 4 different sports in the same Olympics. And I didn't have time to check out to see who the other 2 athletes were. So I'm curious to see what that is. And when they say sports, like athletics, like all the running and jumping and all that, that's still just one sport. So there might be a lot of different events, but it only counts as one sport. So that's why when you think of this, and like gymnastics is the same, there's lots of different sub-genre things, you know, competitions that all fit under gymnastics, but this is 4 different sort of disciplines, right? So
it's kind of like being a percussionist, because I, this only have to deal with one instrument, but they have to learn timpani and mallets and snare and
isn't it wild? Yeah. So there we have it. So that's a challenge to those who are watching who would like to do the research and let us know afterward. Who are the other 2 athletes who have done 4 different sports at the same Olympics?
And I'm curious if there's summer or winter. I think it would have to be summer, because winter skiing is skiing. That's a lot of
There's
what
a lot of skiing.
The original this will be interesting, whoever does the research.
Now skiing and what's the one where the biathlon?
Yeah.
Those are 2 different sports, right?
Sports. I would think so.
Right? They would count. So those are close enough that I could see people doing both of those events. But what would the other ones be? Maybe one
was a figure skater. I don't know.
Or ski jumping. Does that count? Is that under ski, or is that a different sport?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh man, inquiring minds. Okay, our next one is our Canadian. Woohoo! From the 19th. Joseph Etienne Desmarteaux, who's actually my cousin, 5th cousin, 4 times removed. So that's probably one of the closest we've had for me in terms of relatives on the profiles of the week. Born in Boucherville, Chambly, Quebec, in 1873. He died really young, though, only at the age of 32, so just a year after his Olympics in Montreal. So he competed in the 1904 Summer Olympics, which took place in St. Louis, Missouri. You say St. Louis or St. Louis?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
St. Louis with an S. Okay. In St. Louis, Missouri, which is where the World's Fair was. Now, originally, did you know that the 1904 Olympics were originally supposed to be hosted by Chicago, but they moved it to St. Louis when the World's Fair was given to St. Louis, so that both events could happen in the same location.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Yes. So anyways, he was, sorry?
You've got your other 2 as well.
Oh.
Yep. Thank you.
Vigo Jensen and Lance.
Now we should add. But John, we need to know if they were winter.
Yeah. What are the details? What did they do? Okay. Well, he'll get back to us on the details of those. Oh, I wonder if there's Olympic are there WikiTree profiles for them?
Well, that would be bonus points, John.
Bonus points. Pull up their WikiTree profiles. Okay, so it said he died in 1905, but it doesn't say why or how. Come on. Memorial. What if we go to this memorial? Let's see. Doesn't say. He was twice voted a hero by the police department, having first caught a known arsonist trying to set fire to a building when there were several children and adults still living in it. Does not say how he passed away. Okay. 32 is way too young, especially if you're in health like this. So there's a story there. Another story we have to get to the bottom of. Okay, moving along in time, we jump to 1912 in Stockholm, and we have two profiles in a row, both from Australia. So Fanny won gold in swimming, and her teammate Mina, or Wilhelmina, won silver for the same event. So what's notable about these two ladies is that they are the first Australian swimmers to enter the Olympics. And in fact, it was a bit of a deal trying to do that. Now you also notice that the nation they swam for was called Australasia. And so this was a combination of the Australian and New Zealand athletes. They competed together as one entity, one nation in the Olympics up to 1912. And then, of course, 1916, the Olympics were canceled because of World War I, the Great War. And then in 1920, when the Olympics came back, then at that point was the first time that Australia and New Zealand competed separately, a separate nation. So Australasia was their official team. So they had been, to compete in the Olympics, they had to, I think the more details are on the other, in Mina's how to get there. They weren't originally allowed to go to Stockholm. Because, first of all, there were very few women's events at the beginning anyways. And women and men could not compete in the same, could not compete in the same swimming event. They had to be segregated. But there was enough public demand back in New South Wales for them to compete, so that they were able to change the rules. But they had to raise their own funds to get there. Wow. And they also had to cover, cover the cost of bringing along an appropriate chaperone.
Oh.
Because
what year was this?
This is 1912.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Two young women could not possibly, travel the world without a chaperone. I mean, wow. Isn't that wild?
And I think one of the profiles, I might be wrong, fact check me, that they couldn't even have like their father's watch. The men had to be completely, when you said segregated, I mean, they had to be completely, out. They couldn't even see it. But I guess because they were in their bathing costumes, I think they called it at that time.
Too risque, eh? So Mina and her father did travel together to the Olympics.
Really?
So they left on, I don't know when they left. When did they leave? They left in May. They arrived, is that possible? They left in May and they arrived on the 15th of June to Plymouth. And then they got back to Sydney again the 13th of September. So they were gone for quite a while.
I mean, that's a long trip.
That's a long trip. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, it's by boat, right? There is no planes then.
Right.
But that's how they would have to do it. So, yeah. Wow. Unfortunately,
Mina is my closest. That seems weird.
Oh,
she's from Australia, right?
She's from yeah. Let's check her out. She has Irish. Her father was Irish, and then her grandparents were English.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. There's a story there. What did they get? I like how you show that too. You show us the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is kind of neat. So, so that's the two of them. And Fanny. So this is the gold winner, Fanny. Neither of them were able to participate. Well, of course, the 16th Olympics, 1916 was canceled, and then neither of them did the 1920 Olympics. So that was the only time. But the very next, in the 1920 Olympics, then we get to, let's see, Violet from New Zealand. So this is the first time that Australia and New Zealand separated, and in 1920, Violet Walrund was the very first New Zealand woman to compete in the Olympics. So yay for Violet. Now, she is the only one of the profiles from this section that didn't actually win a medal of some sort or other, but being the very first New Zealand woman, that's quite a feat there. And she was a swimmer as well. So she would have sort of ridden the wave if you previous profiles. She finished in third place in a 8K swim in the River Thames, not the Olympic Games, but a different competition. I'm not sure swimming 8K in the River Thames.
Yeah.
I don't think the River Thames is as clean as you might want it to be.
Yeah, that's what
Would it be like swimming in the Seine or worse? I wonder.
Equal or both? Yeah, no, it's still no.
It's still a hard no, hard pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. She and her sister, they were planning to compete in the 24 Olympics. But look at this. Her father made them retire because he thought they were too much in the public eye.
Wow.
And she was only 18 years old at the time. That's very sad.
I bet there were some heated discussions at the dinner table there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So when she was the first woman to compete, she was in 1920. She was only being 15 years old at the time.
Mm. Impressive.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Moving on, now we move to Finland. And our next person is Paavo Nurmi from Finland. And he competed in 3 successive Olympics, 1920, 1924, and 1928. So I showed you the last one, showed you the logo for 20. Here's the logo for 24. He won a boatload of awards, 9 gold and 3 silver over his Olympic career.
Wow.
Long distance running medals, all of them during the 1920s. So he was born in Turku in Suomi, and then died at the age of 76 in Helsinki in 1973.
He was born in Turkey, but did he
No, this is Finland. Turku is just
Turku. Okay. And I was going to say his CC7's low, so I bet you this is probably, we were talking earlier, our furthest connection, but I bet you could get a little closer.
Yeah, only 22 connection. That's a CC7 score, the 22, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Because
he's got a great grandparent, 2 great grandparents in the list.
There's the challenge for this weekend.
Yeah. How far back do Finnish records go generally, I wonder?
That's a good question. I know the Nordic group has been fantastic with Betsy's Rock. You know, they have really found some great records. So maybe we can convince them to dig in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, does Finland have those, like the farm books that have
the households of those surveys, I think? Yeah. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody is at 51. Longest connection at 51. That's...
I'm at 49 here.
Yeah, 47 for me.
Mm-hmm. His father was a carpenter. And interesting. So there's an actress who played Vampira in one of the early horror movies, who has the same last name, but there's no official documents to say. This rumor was that she was his niece, but we haven't got any official documents to support that. Kind of funny, eh? Next one. Who's next here on the list? We move up to 1928 in Amsterdam, and we have Maria Braun from the Netherlands, another swimmer. And born in 1911 in Rotterdam, passed away at 82, age 71 in Gouda. I'm not going to make any cheese jokes. If you have to die somewhere, that's a Gouda place. Go.
We'll let you have one.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
Won 1 gold and 1 silver in 1928. Representing the Netherlands, of course. Did the backstroke and for 100 meters, and then 400-meter freestyle. She was going to participate in 1932, but then was ill, and so wasn't able to participate in that. But there's some suspicion that there was some connection to illegal gambling. So I don't know if that's true or not. I hope it's not. But either way, she did not compete in 32, so she only has the 1 Olympic Games to her credit. But she did set 6 world records and 25 national records in swimming. So and made it into the International Swimming Hall of Fame. Pretty good. Great work there. And then next we move to 1952. We're jumping right past World War II, of course, to USA swimming. There's a lot of swimmers. A lot of swimmers It's tight. Maybe because the people picking the profiles were so hot, all I could think of was their pool, and this is
That
all.
could be. That could be.
Could be. So, Evelyn Toku Kawamoto, who was born in Hawaii, 1933, and then lived to be 83. Passed away just 7 years ago, on 2017, again in Hawaii. Two-time swimming medalist in the 1952 Summer Olympics, which took place in Helsinki. Yeah, she represented the United States, winning that. Very cool. Moving on, getting closer and closer. Here we are. We have Wilma Rudolph. Now, this is a very interesting story. She participated in two. Is it 2 or 3? I think there might be 3. No, maybe not. Let's wrap that around. No, maybe not. Maybe just the 2. She won 3 gold and 1 bronze. But she was born in 1940 in St. Bethlehem in Clarksville, Tennessee. I asked our Appalachian expert if that means she was part of Appalachia, but apparently
not that part.
That's
really on the border with Kentucky as well, and that part of Kentucky is not Appalachia either, but it's literally 1 mile from the state line.
Really? Wow. Okay.
So I would imagine that she would maybe have some Kentuckians that were maybe slaves back in the day.
Right. That would make sense. She's part of the U.S. Black Heritage Project. But she had polio. She had polio when she was a child.
That's amazing.
So not only that, she had double pneumonia and scarlet fever at the same time.
It's amazing she survived.
Yeah.
It's amazing she survived at all.
Yeah.
And then from polio. So like polio affects your legs, right? And she had to wear a leg brace. Her one leg was completely paralyzed. So she came from that childhood debility, trained and got better. And then she got use of her legs. In high school, she played basketball. She made the all-state team. And then she began running. And then from then she went on to the Olympics and she won 3 golds and 1 bronze.
Hey, that's amazing. It's just
that's wild. Like
that is
how can that be?
I don't know. And that was not a time during modern medicine either.
Yeah.
But she just must have, she was young, she was a child, the body's very resilient then. Yeah, but still exceptional.
Exceptional. And Betsy, she was a teacher, second grade teacher in elementary school.
Always feel like kinship with teachers.
And that's a good point. The Olympians have jobs as well. They don't just
they have to go on and do something else.
Yeah,
that's great. She did die young at only 54. She died of cancer, and that's very sad. But very impressive. Very impressive. Moving on to number 11, we have our second last is Zara Tyndall, one of Queen Elizabeth's granddaughters, who's a distant cousin. And being royal, she's probably a distant cousin to lots of people. Anyone who's family goes way back to, who knows how far back do I have to go? 1330 is our common. Wow. Way back. I don't think I'm going to be invited for dinner anytime soon.
You never know. If you get something in a fancy envelope.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. So yeah, she, daughter of Princess Anne and Mark Phillips, born in 1981. So young. I did not know that her name Zara was actually suggested by Prince Charles. Charles at the time, now King Charles, suggested that as a name. So that's very cool. almost, it's kind of cool that his sister would actually listen to him. Like, how many sisters took your brother's advice for naming children? Probably not a lot.
Not mine.
She is 21st in line to the throne, in case you're wondering, and does not hold any royal title, so she's not known as Princess Sarah. Went to school, went to university, began an equestrian career. Of course, her mother is an equestrian herself.
An Olympian.
An Olympian.
Well.
She competed. I think she competed in the 76 Olympics.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. Member of the British Order, British Empire. She competed in 2012 and also in was it just 2012, I think. And she won a silver in that event. So very cool. And our last Olympian, of course, is the very celebrated Simone Biles.
I was so happy for her.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
Yeah. She's done wonderful, isn't she? So she's competed in 3 different Olympics. I've got the logo up here for the very first one that she was part of, Rio, the 2016 Games. But she competed, of course, in Rio de Janeiro in 2016 and Tokyo in 2020, and of course now in Paris. And with her latest wins, she is I believe she's the most decorated gymnast ever. I think 6 golds, 1 silver, 2 bronze, which might even be out of date as of this morning. Who knows?
That's true, because I think, no spoiler alerts, but I think I'll leave it alone. That she might have another one.
Now, her story, and her story is probably all over because, they like to do little profiles. But so she's the biological daughter of Shannon Biles. She and her sister were adopted and raised by their grandfather and step-grandmother. And then she was been in and out of foster care. She's got 2 other siblings who were adopted by Ron's sister. She gained 2 more brothers who were so she's had I would say it's probably a fairly rocky start to life. Of course, started in gymnastics though at age 6, like that's so young, but I guess they all do start young. And then began a career in 2011, where she placed first on the vault and beam, and then things have just gone on from there. And along with all these gold medals, of course, 19 gold medals from World Championships and other things.
Wow. Presidential
Medal of Freedom in 2022. That's very impressive. And apparently she married an NFL player as well in 2023. And it's interesting here in the profile, they say they were legally married in Houston. Of course, you got to get those genealogical facts there. Where was the official marriage date and what time? But then they went to a destination marriage in Cabo, Mexico, where the party probably.
The party, yeah.
And there we go. So very interesting set of profiles for today. So
it's very interesting because this wasn't an easy road for most of these, for over almost all of them. Such challenges, and look where they ended up.
Yeah. Just even getting to the Olympics, having to pay for their own way and a chaperone from the early days, to different struggles, just getting through life, physically or emotionally. Yeah, lots of impressive profiles.
And as you were going through them, Greg, I was looking at my connection path with each of them, and it was very diverse, this group. In terms of through this person or through that. Usually it's a little bit more narrow. Cool.
So great job. That was a great job of picking very interesting people. But I think they all were summer, right?
Yes, these are all summer ones.
Yeah.
We'll probably have in a year and a half when we have the Winter Olympics.
We'll have that.
We'll have the next one, yes.
Neat. Well, happy August to everybody. So we have a new group of August ancestors to celebrate. So let's see. I'm going to do my double screen.
You got a double screen.
Well, you know what? Second screen is my iPad.
Yeah.
So we have some real interesting ones today. So our first one was this was the first answer from William Mayer, and this is his great grand aunt Lizzie, who died. Let's see, she's got both an August birthday and death day, from Australia. I have a picture of her here.
Oh,
Very pretty picture. So she was born in Australia in 1867, and sadly only lived. I don't know what the cause of death was, but she only lived into her late 40s. Yeah, 46 or 47. No children. William says she was the only daughter of her generation who made it to adulthood. Died without children of her own. She's buried at New South Wales, Australia, with her parents and many other family members. So, I thought this was fun here. William included.
Look at that.
Yeah, this was an invitation for their family reunion, and what they did was, they put little.
Nice.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just all these little details. Let's meet for the first time or reconnect. Please bring any family photos and memorabilia. Just very well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a great idea. Bring memorabilia.
Yeah.
And then also, as a visit to the cemetery to see the family there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Okay. So then our second ancestor to celebrate is Chet Snow's paternal grandmother. And her given name was Nora, but she always went by her middle name, Pearl. And she lived a very long life. It's her connection to August is her birthday, August 17th, 1890, born in Cullman, Alabama. She was the daughter of a Methodist minister, and she was Chet writes, she was an all-American pioneer woman whose life spanned 2 centuries since she lived to be 92, she was the oldest daughter in a family where there were 13 children. Well, actually 14, including her. So they were all born, and during a 27-year period, she helped her mother raise the younger ones. And while she was still a teenager, the family relocated from Alabama to Oklahoma. Well, what was to become Oklahoma. And she and her brothers helped their parents build a little house on the prairie. And she also learned how to ride bareback so as to outride those drunken cowboys and Indians who would create havoc in the settlements.
Wow. So she was American frontierswoman.
She really was. The biography tells her story beautifully. We have some really nice pictures. Here she is with her husband. They're one of their children. They were both teachers. They met in college when they were, training to be teachers. There they are later in life.
Nice.
And what I thought was especially sweet, I mean, she just sounds like the sort of person who just has a bottomless heart and just gives. After her husband died in May 1951, she returned to work at 60 plus years old, becoming a fraternity house mother for one of the engineer fraternities on campus.
At 60? Wow.
60. And she held that position for over 20 years.
She had patience.
Because one of the responsibilities that came with the job was shoveling snow each winter.
Oh, no.
So she decided in the 70s that when that was too much for her, she was going to move to California for better weather, where her and her daughter lived.
He rocks.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I think some of those young engineers should have been shoveling that snow for her.
Yes.
I thought so too, Greg.
Yes. Or they could have engineered something so it would automatically shovel itself, you know?
I know. Yes. Now, the next one, I'm going to just read this before I reveal it, is from Ruth Jowett. And Ruth wrote at the end of her post, also, I think this profile may be of particular interest to one of the co-hosts of the Saturday Roundup livecast. I'll leave you to work out which one. So I'm like, I can't wait to see. Well,
okay.
When we go up to categories, we'll see that Ron was an organist.
Oh, look at that.
So
I like that little clue and quiz. That was fun.
I know. It was so fun.
I was looking for some numbers in the dates that were.
I was looking at locations.
So Ron has his birthday actually next Saturday, August 10th. He's a Yorkshireman, and he was Ruth's paternal grandfather, and he was his. I really like the way Ruth has done his profile. We have some pictures of like the street where his family home was. He was one of oldest of 6 children. Here's Ron over here to the right. And he was a banker. He worked for Midland Bank, but then he had this whole rich musical life. He was only 13 when he obtained his first gig as a church organist, and he continued to play the organ regularly throughout his life. And she lists his positions. Now his work at the bank did, factor in. At one point he had to move to a different branch to get a promotion, and he changed his organist position. And he was an organist at City Hall in Hull. He received this commemorative baton that was presented to him by the Kingston upon Hull Opera Society, and it's inscribed to Ronald P. Jowett in appreciation for the Kingston upon Hull Opera Society. He was an honorary organist at Welton, and it says he also encouraged one of the boy choristers at this church, who was a very talented pianist, to take up the organ. This proved to be a very shrewd decision, as this young man won several organ bursaries and took over as organist once his voice.
Yes.
Yeah. So they put a plaque on the organ at St. Helens to commemorate his time there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
I know.
That's great. Way to go. Thanks, Ruth.
Yeah. And I also noticed that Ruth did something. We've had several conversations about to put in a table or not to put in the table, to use a border or not. And
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so I noticed here that Ruth put it in the sources.
Yes.
I mean, I sort of go back and forth, because sometimes, especially if there's something in the census record that I really want to highlight because it's a clue to working out the family, I that's when I in a household table, but I just putting it in the sources, up the biography. So thank you for that idea.
I kind of like that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know you could do a household table for the 1939 register. That's good. Good to know.
That is.
Yeah. So thank you, Ruth. And our fourth and final ancestor for today is from Alexis Nelson. And this is her third cousin once removed, Robert Bruce, but he went by Bruce Irwin. And there's quite a story here. So Alexis is is co-manager with Lynn Betsy, who is his great-granddaughter. And I thought one of the nicest things about this post was Alexis said that Lynn reached out to her, through WikiTree and explained the connection. Oh, Bruce was her great-grandfather. They started working together, and they became great. They're fourth cousins, and they're great friends. They spent time together, emailing constantly. Nice. And she included this really nice photo of them in real life. Yeah,
that's great.
So
that's cool.
Yes, there's quite a tale there here on Aiden, where it looks like we have like, vital facts here, and then there's this story about how Bruce eventually did marry Sarah Trimble, but and they went on to have 7 children together. But before that, he had a child with her out of wedlock, and then a child with somebody else, and so were they charged, so. In the end, they got married, and Lynn's, I'm going to say this right for the record, Ethel is her descendant. She says, I always make a point of it because everybody thinks it's Ethel, but it's Ethel.
Right.
She said she's one of the few people who knows that that's the way it was pronounced. That's an important detail. Hopefully that's on Ethel's profile. So thank you very much, Alexis. There's also a cool map that shows there's just a circle here showing where they lived, Sarah and Bruce, to show the proximity. So that kind of detail is fun.
It was a great background too.
I know. Yeah. I the color caught my attention right away. So thank you, everyone. I have to say that when I get the email alerts, as we all do for any G2G activity we have, when I see that it's related to celebrate your ancestor in whatever month we're in, I'm like, that always makes me happy. I love seeing those come in. So as Vicki said, and by the way, I want to say a huge thank you to Vicki for filling my chair last month, and I did watch all the LiveCasts, and thought you guys were awesome.
Vicki did great.
Yes,
she did.
Absolutely. So as Vicki told you guys last week, the August theme for Photo of the Month is dressed for the time. And we're not quite set up to go yet with the G2G post and the free space page. I will let everybody know about that as soon as I have it. But I thought we could do some little detective sleuthing here. Okay, so this is a photo on Instagram. I'm going to make it as big as I can. Okay, which that is as big as I can make it. Okay, so this is from my hometown of Bronxville, New York. And it's an undated photo. Just looking at these 2 ladies in front with the sort of cloche hats, maybe thinking it's about 1930. We do know that this is one of the main athletic field for the school. And the question is, what's going on here? Do we agree that it's about 1930? I see a boy in shorts. I see a boy in sort of joppers, or sort of more, I don't know what you'd call them, knickers.
I think you're right. It's 1930ish.
Yeah.
In late 20s, if that. But I agree. It's the hat. It's the women. It's clothes. Right. We're telling.
Right.
And in the two women kind of standing in front of the ones that are sitting, their dresses aren't super, super tight. And that would definitely be more 20s, you know,
right.
They were a little bit more loose. So I think you're spot on.
He also has like the knickerbockers. Is that a man? I can't really tell.
I know it's a family. So what's going on in the picture, though?
Exactly. Like here we have some hurdles.
It's not a soccer game or anything, is it?
I mean, there's no obvious goals.
Parade?
I don't know.
There's something definitely going to happen in the middle.
Right.
Because they're all leaving space. So, a horse race?
And then over here, we have all this group of young maidens who are, sort of dressed in white, and it looks like some of them have like garlands of flowers.
Oh, maybe somebody won something and they are celebrating, like we would do a parade down Fifth Avenue or something like that. Maybe something with the garland. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But these definitely look like the kind that you would leap over in a race.
Oh, the hurdles.
Yeah, the hurdles. Yeah.
Ah, so it's like a field day, maybe.
Oh yeah, it's a school. That's a great guess.
Like a school field day, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, I would like.
Is it my imagination, or are they always in pairs? Maybe it's a two-legged race or three-legged race.
The people on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're in a pair. They're in a pair.
But there's one solo.
Yeah, there's one solo. Unfortunately, this group of people really is blocking the view.
Just move out of the way there.
I think you're right, Greg. I think with the school, it's a field day type of event.
Now, John says cricket bales. I don't know what a cricket bales is.
I'm thinking the sports day is kind of like what we call the field days.
Right. I'll look that up, John. Thanks. And we got these wheels over here. It's hard to say whether that's. Do we see two wheels? Maybe it's like a
bike in front.
Bike.
There's a bike on the grass there, right in the foreground.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about over to the far right by this man. You see?
Are they hoops or are they wheels?
I would think hula hoops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So maybe it is a field day. Yeah. I'm thinking that my next trip home, I have to go to the library and look in the newspaper at the over a decade's period. I mean, it's warm. Kids are running around without their coats. So, May, June, something like that. Okay. Well, thank you for your thoughts on that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very neat.
You want me to go over the social media spotlight?
Yeah.
Because I know that Greg has a big announcement at the very end, I think, right? I can sneak peek at his screen, but, so the social media post for the week, and this is, if you're on social media at all, make sure that you have friend, liked, follow WikiTree, and then every time that we post something, check it out, look at it, click like, click and share. And if you have not clicked like, thumbs up on this video today, go ahead and do that now. So the cemetery of the week is St. Peter's in New South Wales. We had a lot of New South Wales today. The Olympians, and we had a lot of the question of the week. The new question of the week, don't know what it is, but we'll find out on Monday. And Aspinwall, one name study. Don't know what the one place study is yet. Connection checkers, for those of you that play, that means a brand new set of profiles that Greg will talk about on Saturday, but that comes out Tuesday. So check that out and play connection checkers on G2G for that. And Ask Alesh.
Mm-hmm.
So, Greg, I saw some really interesting questions already on G2G for Ask Alesh. And definitely check this out. Greg, you host this, and it's once a month.
It's once a month, yeah. Usually, it's usually the first Wednesday of the month, unless that's a conflict for Alesh or myself. So, but we'll be there this Wednesday, yeah.
And it's definitely, if you have a question about WikiTree Plus, ask it on G2G. I think he'll take some ad hoc questions as well.
Yes, we do like to be able to answer questions for people who actually join us live. But if you give the question in advance, then Alesh has a chance to actually get the answer all queued up and have all this stuff there. So,
and that's really important, because it might be something that is a little more complicated or a little bit more work, so he has more time to explain it.
Well, some of the ones that we've been doing recently, delving into like SQL queries, like really digging into the meat behind the database, and so it does take a little bit more time to find those ones. But he's also been giving examples and adding those to the documentation for WikiTree Plus. So it's really
that's really great.
cool.
I didn't know he was doing that detail. So that's, I mean, this is a treasure to be able to capture his time to ask for the questions on WikiTree Plus, because I can't tell you how many times on G2G or Discord somebody says, how do I find this, or how do I do this? And WikiTree Plus is like 99% of the time the answer. A huge Discord party coming up. Huge. It's for the U.S. Black Heritage Project. The Jewish Roots Project did one last week, a little over last week. It is not to be missed. If you have any questions at all about the project, or about a profile, or about researching, anything at all dealing with the Black heritage, this Discord party, they will have a lot of representatives there to answer questions. You'll be able to get answers. It's a really big deal. If you're not on Discord, you are missing so much fun, and so much information is on Discord. So definitely check that out. And guess what? The project of the week is the U.S. Black Heritage. And Julie will be back with date night coming up, and the Saturday roundup. I'm just going to switch real quick, because this is a great lead-in for Greg. So what's happening in August? So we just finished 2 bingos yesterday. And this is the roundup, but we'll have the question of the week, the 52 ancestors, the new Data Doctor Challenge will come up. And Tuesday, the new connection checkers with brand new profiles. We talked about Ask Alesh, and this is pinned at the top of G2G. If you have a question for Alesh with WikiTree Plus, definitely do it. The Watch List Weevil Challenge. We talked about the Discord party, and it has the link. Definitely don't miss it. It's so great to get instant answers. And the WikiTree Challenge 11 reveal, the German stampish.
That's for the reveal is for Jill Beers, the Australian genealogist.
That's really cool.
It is very cool, yes. And we got her connections up to past 3,000.
Really?
Impressive. That's 7 scores now. Actually, it was funny because the last day I went online and I opened up her profile, and it said exactly 3,000. So I took a screenshot.
Exactly. I was going to say, please tell me you did, because you're the number guy. That's too cool.
And then I said, can I tell people to not do any more work for the next 2 hours, because it was that close to the end. And no one listened to me. They did more.
They continued working. And then we'll end up with a Friday night date night. And then guess what? Right back here at the roundup. But there is something that's coming up in August, 2 weekends, that I know is pretty important to talk about. I thought I was the last person who snuck in right before midnight.
You might have been, because the Wiki Games, woohoo! Yay! So when we went online, the post was still open, but the last round, sort of the last round of registration happened this past week, and lots of people did find that out from the newsletter on Wednesday, and we did get more people registering. It was supposed to close at midnight last night. Sandy snuck in after midnight.
Oh no, not my time.
Not your time, but okay. But now,
but I did sneak in. Oh,
I'm sorry to say it is closed.
Azure, help us out. What if we have somebody who really, really, really wants to join, and they thought that it would be the normal Wednesday before it would start? Since Azure's in there. And while we wait for Azure, Betsy, my apologies, I forgot to mention also that Betsy has the new member Q&A coming up, and that's in that. Do you prefer questions in advance or come as you are?
Either way, we have it both ways. So
yeah. So Azure has officially closed it, but as Sandy mentions, if you missed it, but you really, really wanted to, then, you know, in the next day or two, maybe, you know, check, you know, send someone an email. But she has, we have updated the team rosters, and I believe the team rosters are now updated. And so I think Azure said that they're on here. Yeah. Just to say, originally it was only going to go from Wednesday to Wednesday, but then we did extend it to Friday. So I guess we have. Now, for the team captains, I've had one team captains meeting already, and I'm planning on having another one this coming week. And I think we chose 12 noon on Tuesday, but I will send an email out to the team captains again, so we can just sort of finalize some things about that. But anyways, if you want to find out what team you're on, you can check out this post about the team rosters, and you'll probably hear some more. But it'll be a very exciting 2 weekends, because we have 4 events over 2 weekends. It'll be a lot of fun. So, and
the different heats. That's the thing.
That's the very cool thing. Yes, every team has people from sort of 3 different times. Now you don't have to live in that. Well, I mean, there's sort of a Australasia, if we want to refer back to the 1912, an Australasian time zone that starts off, you know, Saturday morning in New Zealand and Australia. It actually kicks off at the exact same time, but for us, it'll feel like Friday night when the opening ceremonies happen. But and then there's a middle time zone, which is copacetic for those in Europe or South Africa. And then there's the Americas time zone, which for US, Canada, and South America competitors feel more comfortable doing. But you could sign up for any one of those heats, but you have basically a 10-hour window for you to do your event. And you don't have to worry about, you know, being sleep deprived and, you know, working 23 out of the 24 hours.
That's the best part.
Yes. So anyways, it'll be fun because we'll have teams, and it'll be like a real event, you know, passing the baton off to the next group, you know.
Right.
So, and even if your 10-hour window is open, you could always be prepping and sort of passing information or details on to the teammates who are officially doing the competing for the time. Anyway,
that's great.
It'll be a fun time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's all I have for today. How about you folks?
Well, we almost. I mean, what was the record? An hour and.
Did we do an hour and a half? We're pretty close. We're getting close to it.
Close. Yeah. Close.
It's a half decent time. Yeah. Anyways, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
And have a great week.
Mags will be back next week.
Okay.
So the gang will be back.
The gang will be back. Well, we've enjoyed having you, Sandy, and we've enjoyed having Vicky. And
always.
You know, we might just invite you all back anyways, just because we'll be missing you if you don't join us. But anyways, lots of good things coming up for this week, so enjoy all of those, and we'll see you in one of these other live casts or back here on Saturday.
Yep.
See you all.
Have a great weekend.
You too.